If you carry a soldering iron with you in your RV, you of course need some solder. And you can buy little tubes of solder like this, and you can throw that in your toolbox. But an old electronic technician's trick is to have a small amount of solder available in an emergency. Unwind maybe 2 feet of solder, and then at the plug end, simply wrap the solder around the plug. And when you're done, you'll see something like this, 2 foot of solder, and you'll never have to worry about never having any solder again. Of course, this is an emergency solder because 2 feet won't do a big project, but it'll help you get by with a couple connections. So it's just a neat trick that technicians use. And we also like these food serving trays. These are just made out of plastic. You've seen them. You can get them anywhere almost. Amazon, Gordon's Food Service, whatever. And we have a couple of them. We use one whenever we want to cook outside, and we can put our hot dogs and buns and ketchup, mustard, all that stuff on there. Take it all out in one trip. We also use a second one to set our coffee maker on, and that way if we have any spills or anything, it's contained within this tray itself. It doesn't spill anywhere in the RV. With all of the rain that we have had recently in the Midwest, it's no wonder that RVs have developed a leak or two on the roof. One source of leaks that you may not be aware of is from this type of antenna, typically the Winegard batwing style crank-up antenna. If you have this style of antenna, you need to do maintenance on it to keep it from leaking. There is an O-ring in the mechanism that needs to be sprayed with silicone lubricant twice a year according to the manufacturer, or it can dry out and leak. The manual suggests removing the entire rack gear assembly to lubricate the O-ring, but I have had success by simply removing the cap to the gear assembly and squirting a good amount of lubrication in the hole. And speaking of all the rain that we've been having, whenever I hook an extension cable to my shorepower cord, I like to wrap a little tape around it. And I'm using yellow tape just so you can see a little bit easier what I'm doing. And some of these connectors work better than others. This connector that has a longer shank to it will provide a platform for the tape easier than what this one will here. But I think we can still get it done. It's just a matter of putting a couple loops of tape around like this, and then what I like to do is, after tearing the end off, is to put a loop back on it like that. That way you have a little tab that you can remove it. And this is actually fairly waterproof. It may still allow water to get in if this is a foot underwater, but as long as you keep it out of the drink, this should be waterproof from rainwater. And then when it's time to make the change in configuration, you just take the tab, and that makes it easy to grab hold of the tape again, so you can remove it. And here's an old telephone man's trick that I'll show you. I got a piece of paracord, and you can use any kind of nylon. And the length of this is twice the length of the blind area that I got to pull the fish tape through. And then in the center, I just put a loop in it, and then I just put a lug on each end. And when you pull the fish tape through, pull this through, and then secure each end with a lug. And you always have this cord in the spot that you got to run wire. And since it's double the length, you can start at one end and tie your cord that you want to pull through the void on here, and then pull it all the way through to the other end. This may be a little bit difficult to visualize in the video, so here are a couple of sketches that might help. The first time you have to run a wire, say through the ceiling or cabinet in your RV, add a piece of cord along with the wire. Then double the length of cord and tie each end off at the ends of the restricted area. Now you have a messenger cable that can be used to pull new wires in the future. To use a messenger cable to pull new wire, start at the end with the excess coil of cord and attach the new wire to the midpoint of the messenger cord. Then simply pull the cord from the far end until the new wire exits the restricted area. Be sure to wrap the cord up for future use. Pretty neat, eh? visit rv-project.com.